help or help too much was Mike Conley. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like a week into the season or 2 weeks into the season.
I do.
He was asked, what one of the big differences was this year, and he talked about defensively and having Rudy behind him, and so knowing when not to help or when help wasn't needed. That's interesting. That's continued to be a theme.
Yeah, and that it's definitely something I see because they did get stuck in a lot of tough situations last year, and I feel like that's something guys have a better understanding, and again, that's coaching, a better understanding of where to be on the floor and when their help's required and when it's not.
Bet you that was something you didn't have to tell Jimmer back in the day. Don't overhelp.
Yes, he was an underhelper. Yeah.
A little bit of
we used to joke.
underhelper.
People were like, "What's that defense you guys played?" We'd say it was a 2-2 zone.
And Jimmer.
Well, that's
resting.
only 4 guys. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's a 2-2 zone.
Sorry, we love Jimmer on the
I love
show. I
Jimmer.
don't mean to pick on Jimmer.
No.
It's just something, it's just funny. It's just something you don't often hear with other teams.
That's
other
right.
teams without Rudy Gobert. I mean, that's overhelping is not usually a problem.
But overhelping it's just just like bad shot selection or you're not blocking out. It's just a bad habit you get into defensively, and your motives are good. You want to be there to help, but when it's not required, you're better off being closer to the guy that can actually do damage.
All right, let's go back down to the media room where George Niang is being made available.
All right, we'll get started with Tony Jones, The Athletic.
George, what's the importance of staying ready in terms of a night like this where shots are not going down and you kind of have to go to other guys to get production that you might not get on a nightly basis?
I think it's extremely important. We've had a tough stretch coming up. That we've just played in, and some more tough games coming up. So I think it's important that everybody stays ready. Coach always says the strength of the team is the team. So I think a lot of us guys, especially in the bench unit, try to always stay ready because just like tonight showed, you never know. I mean, you make a couple shots, someone messes up an assignment, you score some points and impact the game like Mie did even with his offensive rebounding. I think all of us are just bought in on finding ways in our role that we can impact winning. And when you have that, it shows in itself. I mean, we're winning games.
Kristen Kenny, Jaws TV.
Hey, George. Coach was saying that good win. Coach was saying that you're going to have some mistakes throughout the game, but it's a question of how you deal with those mistakes. How do you feel that you guys are dealing with that during this stretch, and just what improvements are you seeing there?
That's a great question. Obviously, you're never going to play a perfect game, and I think Coach has said it before, no team has ever been shut out in the NBA. So obviously we know we're going to make mistakes, but it's just moving on to the next play. If we turn the ball over, sprint back on defense. Coach does a really good job of hammering home the little things with us, whether that's not talking to the ref after a play or making sure we run back on defense or making the extra pass. And I think those little things add up on a night-to-night basis, and that's how you win games. And other teams lose games because they refuse to do or hold each other accountable to do those little things. And I think that's one thing, especially after the playoff series last year and our ups and downs, that coach has put his foot down on is, being an all-stars at the little things.
John Kuhn, AP.
George, the last few games, you've had multiple players on the team get at least 5 assists. We're talking like 3-4 different guys getting at least 5 assists over the past few games. When you're seeing the ball moving around and just seeing that kind of efficiency with passing, how fun is it and how dangerous does it make this offense, even on a night like this where maybe the shots aren't falling early?
I think it's a lot of fun. When you play really fast and the ball's moving and everybody has an opportunity to touch it, it's like passing money around at a casino. Everybody gets a little piece. And, I think everybody knows how that feels, or at least I hope you know how that feels winning. So I think it's a fun style of basketball. I think we're an extremely tough team to guard, but I think what really puts our team over the top is our defensive strength. job throughout the year of anchoring this defense, and I think everybody has brought their level of defense up just because we know that's what's going to help us win games.
Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Yeah, George, that's actually exactly what I wanted to ask you about. You guys start the third quarter on that 16-0 run because Miami goes its first 14 possessions of the quarter without scoring. What was working for you guys defensively so well in that stretch?
We're going to do a dual interview here. I just think, we were doing a great job of, getting on passing lanes, making them do things that they didn't want to do. And, we played really fast once off turnovers and defensive rebounds, and that led to the 16-0 run.
Ben Anderson, KSLSports.com.
Log jam.
Still a thing. Hey, George, speaking of that, and actually going back to that conversation.
Yes. No, don't do that. No.
Well, you said one of the things you wanted to do was improve your on-ball defense, and you've done that this year. So beyond just saying, I'm going to try harder, what is it? How do you become a better on-ball defender?
You've been watching me a little bit. Yeah. No, I'm surrounded by great guys that know how to play defense, so asking them questions on a constant basis is...
Slides to his car, he slides to the fridge, he slides to the ice bath, he slides everywhere.
This just went downhill, but you get the gist of it. Being around great guys that constantly, are helping me play angles and make guys take shots that they don't want to take. And obviously taking pride in it and wanting to win and be better in my role, and I know by playing defense and being better positioned and playing defense is going to be better for the team.
Thanks.
All right, George. That's it. Thank you.
George Niang right there with guest appearances from Joe Ingles and Royce O'Neal. And George was great tonight. 5 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 14 points. Then you got to love seeing the 5 assist number, and he grabbed 3 rebounds as well. So great night for George.
Yeah, George is a guy who, early in the year, especially when the Jazz were scuffling around, there were times where George just didn't look like it was fitting with his team the way it was going. But man, has that changed. And I think he hit on something in talking about, he credited Mie with offensive rebounding. But, the quote from him that I really appreciated was, we are all focused on what role we can play to affect winning. And, again, that's what we see. And that's the message that, is been served up from what we see on the floor. And to hear that time and time again, and even when they're messing around, a couple dudes in there, that it definitely goes downhill when you get more than one player in one of those things.
All right, let's go back down to the media room. Let's hear from Joe Ingles. Oh, excuse me. Let's hear from Royce O'Neal. Apologies.
All right, we'll get started with Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Hey, Royce, on a night when, you guys aren't making three-pointers quite as efficiently as you usually do, what was kind of the key to the defensive effort that you had, in terms of, especially that late second, early third quarter stretch where you guys really kind of took control?
We know, we're a hell of a shooting team, but we know that, our shots are going to fall some games. So we know our defense is what's going to really keep us in the games. And, first half, we were a little slow. And, coming out in the third quarter, we knew we had to pick it up. Starting myself, and then everybody followed behind.
Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune.
Obviously, they get a lot of that out of that Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo pick and roll. How did you guys want to defend that tonight, and why were you ultimately so successful at it?
Just making things tough for them. Taking away those shots. Trying to beat them to the spot. Making them have different reads. At least try to limit them. Shooting the ball, attacking